Let's talk about this camera right here. This is the Polaroid Spectra ProCam. Let's learn about the camera, the specs. More importantly, why don't we shoot some photos with it? Not 600 film put into a Spectra camera. Oh, no. How about we shoot some Spectra film inside a Spectra camera? That'd be way cooler, right? Let's do it.
You know the type of guy that was a jock in high school but ended up becoming a huge nerd? You know, someone that's not afraid to make a fool of themselves on the internet. And someone that likes to shoot Polaroid a little too much. Did I say huge nerd? You know, just an ordinary, everyday guy. Well, that's me. I'm just another Chris.
Hey, hang on, check this out. Hang on. I've always wanted to do a hood slide. Kidding. I mean, I've always wanted to, but I'm not doing it here. Check this out. This might look familiar to you from the last video, but this is the Spectra ProCam, and they're still filming here. Like 4 more shots. So I'm gonna take a picture of the Firebird. It's really hard to take a picture of this because it's all black. And well, this is black and white film. I don't know if that's gonna make it any better, but it just kind of seems like it matches. So I'm gonna take a picture of it. Let's see what we can do. Sorry I was cut off in the last shot. I don't have a cameraman, so I had to guess. So sorry my face was half cropped out of there. So if you see my last video that I put out, it was on shooting 600 black and white films. My first time ever shooting black and white film, even. And it turns out it was really expired. During that video, I kind of teased something. This video, actually. Back in 2021, during the Halloween special, actually, I went out and shot with Caleb and Alex. And Caleb was gracious enough to bring out some of his Spectra film that he had left. He had like a box of color film and a box of black and white film left. And we shot some of it there, and it was really fun. And then he goes, here, you can borrow this ProCam of mine that still has some black and white film in it. I'm like, wow, thank you, Caleb. That's so nice of you. And then I completely forgot about it for 2 years. This is a true story. So I shot one during that video and it worked. Full spread, film was still good. So I went out and shot this, and it's really fun. So thank you, Caleb, for lending me this camera for the last couple of years and for the Spectra film. Let's hope this is a good angle. I am guessing. I'm in the shadow. The background's being lit up by the sun going down, but I'm gonna use the flash. That should compensate. Hopefully. Maybe, I don't know. I could be wrong. I could just be wasting this. And that would really suck just because you can't get this anymore. They don't make it. And it's really expensive if you find it. But I'm confident. I'm confident. Should I have the headlights on? Headlights on, maybe? Let's see what that looks like. That's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. But no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna shoot it from right here. The flash might be totally wasted in this shot, just because how far away it is. I could be wasting this shot. Oh, I'm gonna try though. 3, 2, 1. Whoo! Whoo! Full spread, look at that. 3 more shots. I like how it closes and it just kind of like flips in and out. Yeah. So one cool thing that this camera actually has sonar, just like the SLR 680, sonar SX70 even, which is really cool. I have to look into if it's still choosing autofocus based on how many lenses are in here. I think there's multiple different lenses. Even if it has multiple lenses in here, it's choosing the best one for, you know, your distance, which is really cool. Because I mean, I could be like right up close to this thing and still get some shots, or I can come all the way back here and it's still going to be in really sharp focus. It's really super cool. Now I know there is a way you can actually shoot regular 600 film in this, and I've actually already sort of tested that out with an old video I did years and years ago on the SLR 5, I think it's called. It's the huge like medical CSI type camera. It's actually a really cool camera. I haven't used it in a while. That has a really unique focusing system on that. Really cool. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to check it out. Now, I would love to try and shoot 600 in the ProCam. You would have to just manually load it into an empty cartridge, and you won't get full spread. You get like a corner of it that won't. But either way, it's still really cool. And maybe in a future video, let's continue on, shall we? I can walk all the way around this if I wanted to. I can't escape. You can see it. You can see me. You can see me the whole time. I can't escape the camera. What am I doing? I just forget how fast black and white developed. It's like already seeing the image. I'm pretty pleased so far. Look at that. That's cool. So enough about that. Let's talk about this thing. What makes this thing super cool, and why did it disappear? Why can't you get Spectra film anymore? Well, the short answer is Polaroid just stopped making Spectra film. Yeah, and they blamed the cameras, saying that they're just too old, crusty, broken down, worn out. They just don't work anymore. Instead of just looking within themselves and know that, hey, their film is thicker now, and so Spectra cameras just have a hard time ejecting the newer film. Sometimes you kind of have to give it a little bit of a gentle nudge, if you know what I'm saying, to get the film to come on out of the rollers. So Polaroid just decided to just kill the line back in 2019, I think it was. Right before I was getting into instant photography, by the way. Heavily, that is. I mean, I was kind of into instant photography as far as like Instax, casual shooting back in like 2018. You might not even know what the heck's going on. What's Spectra? Well, here's a standard 600 color Polaroid photo. It's actually of Lightning McQueen when I was in Disneyland. Ka-chow! And this is a Spectra photo. It's actually wider. Look at that. Just a little bit wider. It's really cool. I never really got to experience Spectra for very long, actually never during the height of it. I was lucky enough for one of you to send me a pack of film of Spectra like back in 2020, maybe even early 2021. Full pack of color film was really great, very generous of you. Thank you so much. And that was during the SLR5 macro. I can't remember the name of that camera. It's of that giant medical / CSI camera, bulky and clunky and super fun to use, but that shoots Spectra. But enough about that. Let's talk about the camera itself. There's several cameras out there, but this one tends to be the one that most people seek or try and find. It's actually one of the fewer cameras that can handle modern day Spectra film or just Polaroid film in general better than the other ones, that you can actually get film to eject pretty easily, because some of the other cameras I guess just jam up and cause problems. So this one's pretty sought after, and it does have a couple things in it versus the other ones that are kind of cool. It doesn't have a self timer, unfortunately. I would have loved to have seen that. And like I was saying, it does have autofocus and it uses sonar, and I cannot find anything online about this. So if you know information, please leave a comment down below. Educate me and us. I believe this is zone focusing. It just means it has multiple fixed lenses on the inside, and it chooses which one to use. Whatever the distance the subject is, it'll choose what it thinks is the best one for that. I'm pretty sure that's what it's using, and it's not using a autofocus system like a SLR camera where it's the full range. It's one lens and it's cycling through the distances and focusing that way. I don't think it has that. I'm pretty sure it's just zone focusing. Let me know in the comments if you know more than I do. But it does have a glass lens on the inside, and the lens is actually wider than the other Spectra cameras out there. I believe the other cameras are rocking a 110 millimeter lens. This has got a 90 millimeter lens. That's a roughly equivalently, from what I found online, would be like a 33 millimeter lens on a 35 millimeter camera or frame. That's pretty good, and that means you can get some wide shots like group selfies and things, and it really takes advantage of the little bit wider aspect ratio of the film. And there were a couple different lens attachments that you could get for this. I don't have them, but doing some research, I was able to track down a couple of the examples over on Noah's channel, Analog Resurgence. Shout out to you. He has some of them and he demonstrated them. Consider checking out the video where he demonstrates that. It's pretty cool. It's a close-up lens for something if you want to focus up to a foot, and it also has a macro lens attachment. This thing is wicked. Look how it's just chungus. Stick it on there and you can get some crazy shots. Now, you can actually shoot 600 film in these cameras. You just have to swap 600 film into a Spectra cartridge if you happen to have one laying around. And I tested this with back in the day with my SLR5 camera, the big Chungus CSI camera. Is that joke not ever gonna be funny? I don't know, let me know. But I was able to load in color 600 film into that empty pack of Spectra film, and it worked, totally worked. But you don't always get full spread. You'll get a little bit in the corners that it doesn't come across all the way. So there is that. Or you can buy a mod, I believe from Pola Studios, that you can just load in a pack of film, a 600 film, on this like little tray system that has its own battery that you slide in and you can shoot that way. But you still can get some life out of these cameras if you want to do that. And to shoot the camera, it has a couple different modes. You have exposure compensation, up 1 and -1. You can turn autofocus on or or off, and then you can turn the flash on or off. There is one quirk about this camera, which is, it's kind of cool, but you have to remember this every time that you shoot with it. It has a date stamp built into the camera. It's kind of cool. But if you don't want that in every photo, you have to remember to turn it off every single time. You just press the mode button a couple times till it's like dashed out, and now you can shoot. But it's still pretty cool. I think it's kind of fun to be able to have that. Most cameras can't do that. The only other cameras I know of is this one and the SLR5, the CSI camera. The whole thing's a callback to the previous video on that camera because I used that joke in there a bunch of times. So I'm continuing it. Deal with it. Now, if you do use this camera and you want to shoot something like through glass or something, you remember you have to turn off autofocus because it uses sonar, and sonar uses sound to focus. You can't shoot through glass. It doesn't work that way. It'll focus on the glass. So you have to turn it off. And from what I read online in the instruction manual, if you do that, you have to make sure your subject is at least 15 feet away. If you're any closer, from what it sounds like, it will be completely out of focus. So it fixes it at 15 feet to infinity, that is. And so that's worth noting because you don't have any other control over focus whatsoever. So keep that in mind. It also has a tripod mount on the bottom, 1/4-20. Not sure where or why that would come in handy, to be honest. Don't have a self timer on this thing, so you can't just like set it up somewhere and run away. It doesn't have a remote shutter button option, so you can't shoot it in low light situations. So I don't understand why it has it, but it has one. I actually really like this camera, and maybe Caleb will be generous enough to allow me to keep it for a little bit longer and maybe try a 600 film in here and try and shoot it. I think it's cool. It kind of reminds me of Luke Skywalker's binoculars from Star Wars when I'm like looking through it. You know what I'm saying? I'm a nerd. And I'm surprised that the black and white film actually worked. I mean, it's really cool. After all this time, it was already expired when we shot it in 2021, and then it sat on my shelf for the last 2 years or so, and it still works, still full spread. But the death of Spectra was sad to most. For me, I didn't know about it. I never knew about Spectra until early 2020, possibly, and so I didn't really know I needed to miss it. After shooting it and kind of messing around with it, learning more about it, I wish I was able to shoot some of it and get more involved. I think it would have been really cool, but unfortunately, it's a thing of the past. It's right up there with pack film. Even though I'd rather see pack film come back than Spectra. Hot take, maybe, possibly. Let me know in the comments. What would you rather see come back? Pack film or Spectra? That's all I got for you in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Caleb, again for letting me borrow this. I'll see you in the next video. Now, get out there, make some art.